Hey guys, good afternoon. I'm Charla Valenzuela, a diamond leader up here in Denton, Texas, and I'm excited to talk to you about DISC. DISC training for Brian and I, about 4 months into our Advocare journey, we earned a leadership summit to Lake Tahoe, California, and Christy McGuion trained on DISC, and it was a light bulb moment for me and Brian both, because it made me, after 12 years of marriage, I just began to understand how he was wired and why his one-word responses shouldn't be offensive. That's just how his brain thinks. And he doesn't get as excited as I do about things. And, it doesn't make us good, bad, or indifferent. It's just how we're wired. And so being able to apply that not only in my own four walls, but with my kids and the relationships that we've built in Advocare, it just gives you a greater understanding of people. More importantly, it allows you to speak their language. So when you're talking to someone who's new in the world of Advocare, usually within about 2 to 3 minutes, once you understand DISC, you have a really good idea which category they fall in. And then you can shift how you're talking into their language. It's literally like knowing 4 separate languages. I don't understand any foreign languages. I understand very little Spanish, but if my mother-in-law's sitting in front of me having a conversation in complete Spanish, I don't get it. It's just the same way as I'm a high I. If I'm talking to a C, 100 mile an hour, how much fun it's going to be, I've lost them completely. They don't want to hear that. So understanding DISC and understanding how people are wired it's just crucial in your success of Advocare. And being able to communicate with people. As you can tell, I'm an I can't sit still for the life of me. So I'm sorry if I wiggle a lot. But I have this piece of paper. I've actually had this piece of paper since Lake Tahoe, and I love it because it's like my cheat sheet. It kind of gives me an idea. It gave me an idea of where I could get just in different varieties of how people thought. And so if you want this, I would love to share it with you. Just send me a personal message, and I would love to share it with you. So I'm going to go ahead and get into what DISC really is, what each letter is. If you already submitted your personality type, and you know which one is your dominant one, the number one on your pie graph, then as I say things, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that is so me. And you're going to love it. If you haven't taken it yet, go to 123test.com. That's the free version. Granted, it is a very general, broad overview. There is a paid-for version which breaks it down into your natural and your adaptive environment. So I have a few notes here, so forgive me for looking down. But D, they are dominant and they are driven. My husband, Brian, he is a D. He's very driven. He's very direct. He has very strong points of view, whereas some people may think, oh my gosh, he has such a strong opinion. No, that's just his point of view. They're not opinionated. He likes things to be faster. He's very task-oriented. A D wants to be the boss. They want to be to the point. They desire productivity, and they're motivated by winning. Go figure. He's an old football coach, so that fits him very well. But I want you to understand, a D is just driven and direct. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples with Brian and I and our relationship and how I take his D. For example, if he says, hey, what do you want to eat for supper? If I say, I don't care, it sends him over the edge. He just wants to know because he just wants a direct answer to the point, okay? So I can't even say, I want Italian. He's like, okay, where do you want to go? That's not what he wanted. He wanted a direct response. I have to say, I want Olive Garden. Then he's like, okay, that's all I wanted. And he always teases me. Since we've learned DISC, my text messages to him have dramatically changed. My responses have dramatically changed. It's either a yes or no. It used to be, well, I talked to her and she said, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I just want to know. One-word responses make them happy. Well, guess what? That's how they communicate. So Brian would just communicate with me with a one-word response, and I used to get my feelings hurt because I thought, oh, why can't he just explain it to me? That's not how he's wired. So that is your D personality. I is very influencing and inspirational. They get excited. They like things at a faster pace. and they want to be admired. They desire relationships, and they are very, very spontaneous, and they're motivated by having fun. So I'll give you 2.2 seconds to figure out what I am. I am an I to an I to an I. These are all things that completely 100% describe me. And when I'm talking to Brian, if I get excited, he gets excited for me, but that's not his language. So I have to learn to communicate things differently, because if I'm like, ah, he's like, oh yeah, whatever, you've lost me. So I's are just, for a lack of a better phrase, they just want to have fun. They just want things to be enjoyable. And they don't like routine. We don't like boredom. Those are two things I can't stand. So that is just kind of an overview of an I. An S is steady and stable. Okay? They tend to like things at a slower pace. They desire relationships. They just want to be liked. And they want you to be pleasant. That's what an S wants. They just want you to be nice to be around. Okay? Whereas an I wants you to be exciting. And a D wants you to be productive. I mean, to the point. Excuse me. S's get security from close relationships. That's very important with an S. And they're motivated by teamwork. See, an S is like the mother hen. They want to make sure everybody's taken care of. They want to make sure it's a pleasant atmosphere and all the details are covered. I like to use an S as like your room moms. They're the ones that just want to make sure it gets done and everybody is taken care of. I use Sweet Maggie Vela, one of our gold leaders out in the Houston area. She is definitely a high S. She is always running around taking care of her girls' entire volleyball team, softball teams, her Advocare business. I mean, she's just all over the place, but she gets it done because that's how she's wired. A D is going to say, no, I want you to go do that. And he's not going to volunteer himself for all of those things. So that just kind of gives you perspective on a little bit of an S. S's tend to be the glue. S's kind of tend to be the peace of a situation. They are the ones that bring comfort over a situation. And then we have a C, who is compliant and contemplative. They seek a lot of data and ask a lot of questions. They tend to be slower. They want to be precise. They want you to be precise, and they desire accuracy. And they are motivated by playing by the rules. So, when you're talking to a C brain, I sat down I use this on my Facebook post, but I sat down in Amanda and Philip Shelton's house in Lubbock after being around Amanda for probably 3 or 4 months before I ever sat down and met Philip. And he asked so many questions. And I knew immediately that he was a C brain and he just wanted me to explain things. So once we sat down and I explained the numbers and I explained how it worked and I walked him through it step by step by step, he understood Advocare. And he wasn't blown away by my high I, we're just going to have fun. Because that wasn't desirable for him. But he wanted to know how to get it done. So when you explain that, and people can relate to that. But I'll tell you, the biggest C that holds me accountable is Rachel Vassar. I have to do things all the time. I think, okay, how would Rachel like this? If it's organized, she loves it. And I love that about her because that is a way that I know I can communicate through her. Rachel packs 4 days in advance to go on a trip. And I pack 20 minutes before we leave. That's just a difference. And I'm always like, what are you wearing? Like, she's walking out the door and she's like, I'm sweating for you because I know you're not ready. And she's been packed for 4 days. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how we are just completely different in that realm of thinking. I tend to be more spontaneous and she's very, has it all planned out already. So that's just how different brains are wired. But here in the world of Advocare, this is why it's so important. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. There's a couple that we have that he was on board way before her. And he kept telling me, I've been trying to get my wife, I'm not going to use names, I've been trying to get my wife to watch these videos and read this and do this and go to this training and watch this. And so I quickly knew that his wife was not a C. That he was, I began to really put together that he was a very high C. And his wife was turned off by Advocare because she thought she had to know all of that information. And she was like, I'm out. And I get that, because when you set me down and someone is sitting there talking about X, Y, Z, and this is how you go from X to Y to Z, I check out after 2 seconds. So I knew immediately, I was like, sweetheart, you got to talk to her in her language. You got to show her that this is fun, that it's going to be something that's going to change her life. You can't talk to her in that monotone. She wants to know how to build relationships. She wants to know how to influence people. And all those training videos you're sending her to aren't showing her that. And so just beginning able to understand how different people think helps you build those relationships. Now, let's talk about events. If you're trying to invite someone to an impending event, how are you going to communicate with them? Usually, when I'm trying to invite, say, a C-type personality, if I've talked to them and they've had a lot of questions about AdvoCare or things like that, one thing that I will do is say, you know what? We're going to show you how to make money. We're going to lay out step for step how the money is made in AdvoCare. You're going to see the plan laid out in detail, the 5 ways we get paid, what overrides mean, what leadership mean. A C is like, all right, I'm in. You're going to show me the plan. That's what a C brain wants to hear. And S, remember, they're the glue. They're the piece in the relationship. They desire sincerity. They want it to be a pleasant atmosphere, but they also desire teamwork. So what you're going to say to an S is, you know what? You're going to see a group of people who've locked arms together and they've gotten this done. They've created an opportunity that's made so many changes in their lives and their family. You know, just painting that picture of what they're going to be able to do with a group of people in a tremendous environment. And they're going to be able to play a huge role in that. Because remember, the S is the one that likes to make sure everyone's taken care of. And so that is huge for an S. You know what? You're going to take on a role where you can help people do these things. And you're going to develop a team. And they are going to be 100% on board. And it's going to be so much fun. There's going to be loud music. There's going to be lots of great stories. And you're just going to love the environment. That's an I personality. You tell me I'm going to have fun, I'm in. Okay? And then finally a D. If I want Brian to go to an event with me, I'm not going to say, it's going to be blah. I'm not going to blow it up all over him. What I'm going to say is, you know what? You're going to learn how to get it done. Period. That's all I'm going to say. If I start going into details, he's out. So remember, that's that dominant brain. So there is a lot more to the DISC training that sometime we will do in a live one-on-one situation or in a group setting that I would love to share with you. I've taken up a lot of your time. If you have any questions or any situations that you kind of want to know, feel free to message me anytime. We would definitely love to help you out. I hope you've had a fantastic day, and I hope you've enjoyed this training. Be blessed.